Is it rolling, Bob? Greetings, YTPC. It's goofy hat time. I'm here in the woods again, in my studio, which is a stump for the camera and a log for my chair. December 10th, 2020. On my way up here today, I stopped to buy this hat because it's the last few days of deer hunting season. Quite a bit of hunting goes on around here. I'm not a hunter myself. I've got nothing against it as long as it's done legally and ethically and according to the etiquette of the sport. But I guess I'm more of a lover than a killer. Many, many years ago I tried upland bird hunting for a short period of time, but I wasn't very good at it. Pretty harmless. But that's why I'm wearing the hat anyway. I don't want to get shot. It's around here it's shotguns. What they use is, rather than a rifle, they use a shotgun with a big lead slug in it. I guess because Massachusetts is fairly densely populated compared to the mountainous areas of New England. And the slug doesn't travel very far. But at short range, it's pretty devastating. Just came up here for a relatively short day. It's a little cold. It was freezing this morning. There's quite a bit more snow on the ground here than there is back home down towards Boston. A couple of 2 or 3 inches of kind of a crusty, wet snow. Nice day though. It's cool, but warming up, sunny, not too windy. It's good to be out. I'm smoking my Weber Virgin Deluxe. I guess it's an apple. One of my estate pipes that I picked up. Cleaned up a little bit. Smokes very well. I like it. It's on my short list of favorites. Once again confirming that I don't need to spend a lot of money on a pipe to enjoy it. And in it, I'm smoking Old Georgetown Blend. Spent a couple of weeks recently down in DC, Washington, DC, to welcome our new grandchild into the world, our first. Kind of a big deal. Of course, throughout the process, we were being quite careful to stay isolated from other people as much as possible. But I did sneak over to Georgetown Tobacco and pick up a couple of pouches of their house blends. The Georgetown Blend, Old Georgetown Blend being one of them. It's a kind of a Balkan, Virginia and Latakia and an Oriental. I can't they said exactly what kind of Oriental it is, but I can't remember what it was. It's something I probably couldn't pronounce anyway. But I like it. It's good. My first bowl of it. You know, having smoked quite a bit of Balkan Supreme, I kind of knew what to expect, I guess. Smokes well right out of the pouch. Maybe because it's sitting in the pouch for a while, it's a little dry. Still can't find any mason jars. Going to my local Wally World, and they're pretty well sold out and haven't restocked. Checked the hardware store nearby, and they don't have any either. Doesn't help that I'm looking for a particular kind of this squat, was it 8-ounce wide mouth. I'll keep looking. But anyway, while I was down in DC, I don't know if you guys have them where you are, but around here and down there, this called little free libraries. Little, look like mailboxes almost, little birdhouse kind of things people set up in their front yards. And the idea is people put books in them for people to take. So it's kind of a leave one, take one sort of deal, free. And went by one of these little free libraries down there in DC, and I picked up this book, Journal of a Trapper by Osborne Russell. And it's a story of a man who spent the better part of a decade from about 1834 to 1843 out in the far west. It was weren't even any states out there yet. It was territories, I guess, or I don't know who was claiming it other than the natives who lived there. And that was a big part of the story, is this trapper wandering around with his horses and a few companions in what is now, I think, Wyoming and Utah, looking for beaver. It was back in those days. Beaver hats were a big style, and a lot of money apparently in beaver pelts. And this is his first-hand account of his travels and his experiences out there. Fascinating stuff about the hunting and killing a lot of game for food, because that's what they lived on basically out there. And just the beauty of the wilderness. And a big part of the story is the natives, particularly the Blackfeet Indians, did not take kindly to these white guys coming out there and stealing the beavers and killing the buffalo and everything else. And he tells stories of fighting with, mainly running from the Blackfeet, and also getting along quite well with some of the other tribes out there, trading and whatnot. But the reason I mention it here today is because it's obviously the things that I focused on when I came up was pipe smoking. Of course, there was the traditional smoking of the peace pipe with the natives. Anytime he got invited into a lodge of one of the Indians, usually a chief or some highly placed individual, I suppose, the first thing they would do is smoke a pipe. And then numerous times he would tell of how he just took a break and sat down and smoked his pipe by himself. I guess tobacco back then was a special treat, not that common out there in the middle of the wilderness, hundreds of miles from civilization. But they had it, and it was something they really enjoyed, apparently. Sadly, he didn't offer too many details about what kind of pipe it was or what kind of tobacco it was. I imagine it was pretty rough stuff by today's standards. But I mentioned a couple of videos ago about the James Michener book Centennial and the Mountain Men and the Rendezvous and whatnot. And this is not a fictionalized version, but a real-life telling of one man's experiences out there. Very interesting read. maybe it's because of where I am or the day or whatever, but this is a nice smoke. The reason I'm here today is because it's a nice day, but it's also my birthday tomorrow. I like to try to make a point of treating myself to a day out here within a few days of my birthday, weather permitting. And today's the day. This may be the last visit for quite a while. I don't necessarily love coming up here in the winter when the snow is deep and it's colder. This is about enough for me right now with the cool breeze and the snow. Not terribly motivated to do any work. But a couple of things happened in the last few days that have me ruminating on a subject that's not necessarily too pleasant. But a combination of my birthday, tomorrow, and these days I'm acknowledging that I'm getting to be old. Don't feel that old all the time, but sometimes I get little hints of what the future may hold. And my sister, who is exactly 10 years older than me, had a birthday yesterday. She's so old, she's not even a boomer. She was born while my father was in the Pacific Ocean during World War II. And she was almost 2 years old before he ever saw her. And then there was something else. I found a new YouTuber on the YTPC. Olden in the way. I forget his real name. He's a fairly new YouTuber. At this point, he's got, I think, maybe 3 videos. I'd say he's probably a contemporary of mine. And clearly he's young at heart anyway. But the name of his channel, Olden in the Way, it comes from maybe a Grateful Dead song or something. I'm not sure. I Googled it briefly, but it's getting to the point where I don't necessarily feel old and in the way, but maybe old and invisible. Not so important anymore. Not that I ever was that important. But well into Social Security age now. Not taking it yet, but I'm certainly eligible. And try not to dwell on these things too much, but for some reason this week I was. And one thing I was thinking about is nursing homes. We're hearing a lot of stories about COVID ravaging the residents of nursing homes. And even before COVID came around, I'd been in a few nursing homes visiting people. And really don't want to wind up there. I really don't. I guess it's not always in our control because when we get to that point, we don't have much to say about anything anymore. But I've always said, only half jokingly, that when my time comes, I want to take a long walk on a cold night. And then yesterday morning I was doing my morning pages. Have I mentioned that before? Every morning I get up and the first thing I do is, in a cheap notebook by longhand, I write whatever is on my mind at the time. You can Google morning pages. It was originated by a woman, an artist, several years ago, and a few people have picked up on the habit, and it's I enjoy it. I like doing it. So anyway, when I was writing yesterday, I was thinking about getting older and the end of my days, what I might like to have done with the disposition of my remains. Again, it's something I probably won't have a big say about because there's a lot of family considerations involved, but I've been quite fascinated by the recent trend in so-called green burial. I was thinking I'd like to take that long walk on a cold night and sit down by this big pine over here. I'll try to show you this after I'm done talking, and go to sleep. Kind of like Rip Van Winkle, only I wouldn't wake up. Just a fantasy, really. I know it'll never happen, but they could just bury me right here. And some people don't even want a headstone at all. Some people just use GPS coordinates, which is kind of cool. I think I would like a local granite cobble or boulder here. Just my name and my dates, date of birth, date of death. And I was thinking how I might build a bench, a rustic bench, a couple of rocks and an old log cut in half, split lengthwise, just in case anybody ever wanted to come and visit and have a quiet moment in the woods and sit down. Such a thing is probably not even legal around here, but it's